So in the name of fairness, now let's switch over to good Apple. Apple
Yes.
has taken the first step in correcting this whole loot boxes fiasco. And
Yes.
this dropped on Polygon like 2 or 3 days ago. They have updated their developer guide. If you are creating iPhone games, iOS games, and you offer loot boxes, you have to disclose the probability of people acquiring what they want to get out of the loot box. And they didn't spell out exactly what this is going to look like, and I'm going to pull up the story here, but it now says that you have to let people know basically what their odds are of getting the good stuff.
I love that, and I think it's a good start. The one thing I don't like about that article is that that's the one that used the Overwatch loot crate screenshot for discussing mobile games.
They sure did. You mentioned that you didn't like that they used the screenshot. It took me until now to register what you didn't like about it. For one thing, that has nothing to do with iOS.
Exactly. That was my main reason. You could have showed anything else, but I don't like how, maybe less informed yet observant, vigilant mother will see that and think, Overwatch? Johnny's playing Overwatch. This game's gambling. And it's like, oh, man, Overwatch is like the least hateful of all of the... and, it's like that one was the least hateful of all of them. Not to go on too far down that rabbit hole of poor selection for your loot box article picture. Okay, pal?
Yeah. What would have been nice would be to see an example of this in action already, but I don't think they're enforcing it yet. I am very curious to see what this is going to look like in practice. The actual wording from the article says, apps offering, quote, loot boxes or other mechanisms that provide randomized virtual items for purchase must disclose the odds of receiving each type of item to customers prior to purchase. So the end game is very clear, but it seems like there's some wiggle room about how they want to do it. Like there were good examples in the article, I think, about, will it look like you have a 13.8% chance of getting an epic rare item, or can they get away with saying like 1 in 6 boxes gets the big one? Ultimately it's gonna break down the same way mathematically, but I think there's room to make it still kind of sketchy.
Yeah, and it's not gonna. Just having the information out there is not gonna deter much, if any, honestly, of the people buying this, because the kids are buying this, and I don't think the kids are gonna be reading statistics or noticing. They're not going to care. So it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on the actual issue, but in the same time, good, because we came to a conclusion that independently started to come to the conclusion, I should correctly say, that this article did. If I remember, I read it earlier. I'm sorry if it's not in there. Forgive me. But that this was good that they were taking steps to try to show that they don't want government intervention. Or was that your note?
Exactly. No, I did put in a note about this. To Polygon's credit, they brush on this briefly. It's no secret that Apple is doing this to try and prevent government oversight from being introduced into the App Store process. If you're an app developer, you should be very, very afraid. And we've talked about this. You should be very scared about the idea of the government stepping in and going, you making an app? Does it have loot boxes? We will determine what a loot box is and what, whether it's fair or who you're marketing to. Just give it to us and we'll let you know if and when you can upload it to the App Store. That's not good.
Let me put it to you like this, guys. The FCC chairman isn't a very popular person to certain people.
Oh?
Imagine, since they don't seem to like that archetype of human.
Right.
Imagine that kind of a person, okay, if that is bad, controlling what you're going to do in your games. What I mean by that is it's not a knock towards that guy personally. I don't really know him to be able to be making personal jabs at him. But this is what I do mean by saying that. You're going to have a person that's a bureaucrat that's completely out of touch with what we want as gamers and what we want to see happen. Well, looking in from the outside in going, change all of this. And then you're like, oh, come on, dude. This is not your sandbox. You guys always play on the jungle gym. You don't know anything about what's going on in the sandbox.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So like that's why it would worry me, is that not only do we have an issue with gaming and the gap in generations, and the older folken
Them old folkin'.
the old folken. Well, that sounds like an interesting word. Anyways,
What's the folkin' point?